The man standing at the center of South Africa's crime crisis is the same man who once stood behind prison bars on Robben Island, branded an enemy of the apartheid state. Decades later, Bheki Cele commands the police, lectures the nation about discipline and morality, and insists he is the right person to restore order in a country where gunshots, corruption, and fear have become part of daily life. His journey from political prisoner to police minister is not just a personal story. It is a mirror reflecting the contradictions, loyalties, and unfinished business of South Africa's democracy. Bheki Cele was born on April 22, 1952 in Amzamb, KwaZulu-Natal. Like many of his generation, his political consciousness was shaped early by the brutality and injustice of apartheid. The system did not merely exclude him, it criminalized his very existence. As a young activist aligned to the liberation struggle, Bheki Cele paid a heavy price for resistance. He was imprisoned on Robben Island, a place that has become sacred ground in South Africa's political mythology. For the ANC, Robben Island is not just a prison. It is a badge of honor. Survivors of that place are often regarded as morally hardened, politically tested, and deserving of leadership. That history would follow Bheki Cele for the rest of his life. After the fall of apartheid and the birth of democracy, Bheki Cele entered formal politics as part of the ANC's rising provincial leadership in KwaZulu-Natal. He was outspoken, combative, and deeply loyal to the party. These traits earned him both admiration and fear. He was not a consensus builder in the traditional sense. He was a political enforcer, someone who thrived in conflict and did not shy away from controversy. His rise through the ANC's ranks was steady, and eventually he secured a seat on the powerful National Executive Committee where the real decisions of the governing party are made. His first major taste of executive power came in KwaZulu-Natal, where he served as MEC for transport. The portfolio gave him visibility and influence, but it also revealed a defining feature of his political style, a tendency to govern through command rather than persuasion. Supporters praised him as decisive and firm. The critics accused him of arrogance and intolerance of dissent. Both were probably right. Bheki Cele's career took a dramatic leap when he was appointed National Commissioner of the South African Police Service. It was one of the most powerful positions in the country, placing him at the helm of a force struggling with corruption, low morale, and the legacy of apartheid policing. Expectations were high. Many believed a former political prisoner would understand the dangers of abuse of power and bring ethical leadership to SAPS. Instead, his tenure became one of the most controversial in the organization's history. In 2011, allegations emerged around irregular police headquarters lease deals involving billions of rand. A criminal case was laid against Bheki Cele, and although the legal process would stretch on for years, the political consequences were swift. In June 2012, he was dismissed as police commissioner. The fall was dramatic and humiliating. A man once trusted with national security was publicly stripped of office. For some, this should have been the end. But South African politics is rarely that simple. Bheki Cele did not disappear. He remained an ANC loyalist, protected by struggle credentials, internal networks, and a party culture that often distinguishes between political wrongdoing and criminal guilt. When he resurfaced as Deputy Minister of Agriculture, Forestry, and Fisheries, it was a clear signal within the ANC. Being fired does not necessarily mean being finished. Then came the moment that stunned both critics and supporters. In February 2018, newly elected President Cyril Ramaphosa appointed Bheki Cele as Minister of Police. The symbolism was impossible to ignore. The man once fired from the police service was now in charge of it again, this time as a politician, not a commissioner. The reaction was explosive. Supporters argued that Bheki Cele was a seasoned cadre who understood the security cluster and could bring discipline to a floundering police service. Critics saw the appointment as a slap in the face to accountability, proof that political loyalty mattered more than public trust. For victims of crime, the question was simpler and more brutal. Would anything actually change? As minister, Bheki Cele has cultivated a public persona that is unmistakable. He speaks with anger about criminals. He scolds police officers for laziness and corruption. He condemns gender-based violence in emotional terms and promises crackdowns on illegal firearms, drug dealers, and violent gangs. His language is often raw, sometimes theatrical and always deliberate. Bheki Cele does not aim to sound like a technocrat. He aims to sound like a man in command. Yet, while his words are loud, South Africa's crime statistics remain devastating. Mass shootings, police killings, organized crime syndicates, and violent robberies continue to dominate headlines. For many citizens, Bheki Cele has become the face of unfulfilled promises. A minister who talks tough but presides over a system that still fails the most vulnerable. His personal life has not escaped public scrutiny. Bheki Cele has been married twice. His second marriage to Timika Enko was a high-profile event attended by political elites and business figures, reinforcing his image as a man firmly embedded in the country's power networks. Family controversy followed him when a video of his son Bheki Cele surfaced online during a birthday celebration at a Cape Town nightclub. The footage sparked outrage, with critics accusing the police minister of hypocrisy in a country battling alcohol abuse, violence, and moral decay. Bheki Cele's response was defiant. He denied wrongdoing and threatened legal action against journalist Musa, insisting that the incident had nothing to do with him. To supporters, it was an unfair attack. To critics, it was another example of political privilege shielding itself from accountability. Questions about wealth and lifestyle have also lingered. Reports of a multi-million rand home purchase in Waterkloof Ridge, Toria, fed into perceptions that senior politicians live far removed from the realities faced by ordinary South Africans. Bheki Cele has never convincingly escaped the broader criticism aimed at the political elite. That those entrusted with power often appear insulated from the suffering they govern. Despite all this, Bheki Cele remains firmly in office. That endurance says as much about the ANC as it does about him. The party has long struggled to balance liberation history with democratic accountability. Figures like Bheki Cele are protected not only by formal processes but by symbolic capital, the memory of Robben Island, exile and resistance. For many inside the movement, removing such figures feels like erasing history itself. Yet South Africa is no longer fighting apartheid. It is fighting crime, corruption, unemployment, and despair. Younger generations with no memory of the struggle increasingly judge leaders by outcomes, not history. To them, Bheki Cele is not a former political prisoner. He is the man responsible for policing a country where safety feels like a luxury. And that is the heart of Bheki Cele's story. He is both a product of South Africa's painful past and a symbol of its unresolved present. He embodies courage and controversy, loyalty and defiance, discipline and dysfunction. His life raises uncomfortable questions. How long should struggle credentials carry political weight? At what point does loyalty become liability? And can a system built on revolutionary legitimacy adapt to the demands of a democratic society hungry for results? Whether admired or despised, Bheki Cele cannot be ignored. His voice, his history, and his decisions continue to shape the country's most urgent debate. The fight for safety, justice, and trust in a nation still searching for its future.